Sinestro, the legendary lantern turned harbinger of fear.
Morgoth, the rebel Valar and black foe of the world.
For as much as the world is filled with beauty and light, there are still those who would sooner turn their back and in their malice seek instead to corrupt all that is in their own image.
You already know who we are.
And we're here to research their strength, speed, talents, and tech to find out who would win. No matter in what distant corner of the universe you find yourself, you can rest easy under the watchful protection of the Green Lantern Corps.
Intergalactic space cops holding back the forces of evil. And if you found yourself in Sector 1417, you'd be under the jurisdiction of the greatest Green Lantern who ever lived, warding a utopian spotless sector, Sal Sinestro.
But before he took up the cause, Sinestro had spent his life working as an archaeologist on the planet Korrigar, until one day he'd find himself thrust into a new life altogether when a mortally wounded Green Lantern crashed onto the planet, pursued by a weaponer of Quard, a being from the antimatter universe who sought his ring.
All that for a piece of jewelry?
Green Lantern rings are some of the most powerful weapons in the universe. With them, the host can fly, manipulate the forces of reality, communicate with others, scan foes for data, and of course, create hard-like constructs of whatever they can think of.
The sky is really the limit for what you can do with one, bound only by your willpower. They do only last for so long though, but it's no biggie when lanterns can summon a miniature power battery to recharge. They can fly across solar systems and galaxies, search the universe in a heartbeat, and even tag incalculably fast speedsters like the Flash.
With them, Green Lanterns serve under the Guardians of the Universe as a safeguard against any threat out there.
No wonder the weaponers would be after such power. But the ring, sensing the fearlessness and will within Sinestro, chose him as its new host, who then promptly took down the weaponer with its power and became a new Green Lantern.
Thinking himself more suited to wield the ring than its prior owner, Sinestro left him to die in isolation from his injuries.
Dick move, but turns out Sinestro may have been right. He quickly established himself as a legendary warrior among the Lanterns, befriending his mentor Abin's Sur over the course of their countless missions together, and even marrying Abin's sister, Arin.
Under Sinestro's watchful eye, Korrigar and the rest of the sector thrived and flourished as the ultimate havens of peace, with Sinestro praised as their ultimate savior and ruler.
Turns out, making the Spotless Record space cop your ruler causes society to turn into a militaristic dictatorship. Sinestro's perfect image crumbled over time due to his rule, with revolts against him getting to the point Arin sent away their only child and began to distance herself from him.
The source of this shift was due to whispered secrets Abin had told Sinestro, a destined end to all of reality, the blackest night. While he dismissed them as nothing more than stories to scare children, inside, he couldn't help but feel fear at the notion of what could be coming. Then came the day when Abin was killed, and everything Sinestro had slipped through his fingers.
The only person Sinestro had left to confide in was Abin Sur's replacement, a hotshot rookie lantern, Hal Jordan. He'd befriend him just like with Abin, and would eventually decide to show Hal the wonders of his homeworld and the peace he had enforced.
Hal was, quite frankly, repulsed by what he saw, a population that feared Sinestro above all else as a tyrant. So he battled the Rogue Lantern, an opportunity that the people of Korrigar saw as their chance to revolt, pushing Sinestro back, and ultimately causing the death of his wife, with a child suicide bomber.
Sinestro was beaten and broken, and with Hal's testimony against him, he was banished to an antimatter universe. Hey, that sounds familiar.
Sinestro thought the same thing, and remembered the weaponers of Quard from back at the start of all of this. Tracking them down, Sinestro promised them the one weakness of the Lanterns: fear.
And so, the weaponers would construct the ultimate weapon for him, the Yellow Power Ring and Battery, the equal of the Green Lantern Ring, but powered by the fear and dread the wielder could inspire. His ultimate bromance with Hal was broken. His one friend and partner in all this turned against him, so he would turn against the universe itself.
Created from the, quote, distilled terror of a dying planet, This ring would be Sinestro's true bread-and-butter weapon, along with his own yellow power battery, allowing him to open portals into and out of the antimatter universe.
Yeah, because while Green Lantern rings are the most iconic, powered by willpower, there's a whole spectrum of emotional power rings, each granting their own benefits in addition to the staples.
The red light of rage, the blue light of hope, the violet light of love, and in this case, the first lantern of the yellow light of fear.
In addition to all the other uses, his could inspire fear in others, and let him resist having his soul absorbed by beings like the Spectre. Even rookie lanterns are capable of creating whole universes, and Sinestro could contend with the Guardian of the Universe, entities capable of wiping out entire multiverses on a bad day.
Sinestro would then found his own corps after returning to reality, the Sinestro Corps, his own force that would rule through oppression to provide the ultimate peace to the universe.
A peace through terror and might that spat in the face of the will and drive the Lanterns had strived for all this time.
Sinestro is such a master of fear that he was even able to act as master to the cosmic fear entity itself, Parallax. While they've since parted ways, he quite literally was able to keep fear itself under his thumb.
He even managed to become a fabled White Lantern for a brief period, channeling the entire emotional spectrum. Though, like with Parallax, it's not something he can do whenever he wants. Still, an insane testament to his fortitude, though. Only the best of the Corps can pull that off.
Even without the ring, Sinestro is a masterful martial artist, having been trained by the best Korrigar had to offer, and taking down people trained by Batman, and battling other Lanterns in fights that spanned across the stars.
He's also insanely smart, being able to play all of the universe like pawns and get his Corps in order with just a few simple words of intimidation.
Sinestro is more than just a simple villain. He is a true wielder of fear, but does it all in the name of protecting the universe from those he deems incapable of doing so. He's even slaughtered his own Corps after they got out of hand, but he's just as quick to kill Green Lanterns or other quote-unquote heroes as well if his vision calls for it.
Despite that, he's joined up with villain teams before, to clash with not only Hal, but the entire Justice League.
He would even live to see the Blackest Night, the prophesized end of all things that he and the other Corps would work to stop.
But that still wouldn't stop him from plotting. While his actions range from cold villain to calculating antihero, no one in the Corps is a fan of his.
But that's alright, because he's not a fan of them either.
For these notions of heroism are foolish endeavors, and if the universe wishes to be safe, it needs to be fearful. And if Sinestro has to taint the realm of his masters to do that, so be it.
Even if it's a fight he'll never win, he won't stop trying. A world of perfect order at any cost. That is the will of Thal Sinestro.
There's a new day dawning, a new sun rising.
Long ago, before existence had a name, there was Eru Iluvatar, the wielder of the flame imperishable and the supreme, unmatched god of all things.
And at some point, he created the Ainur, basically angels. Eru gave and taught them everything they would ever need and loved them dearly. But one of them just had to be a rebel.
The mightiest of these angelic beings was Melkor, and while he was cared for perfectly, Melkor's pride secretly festered, craving the power his creator wielded in the flame imperishable. But it was in truth part of Eru himself, and Melkor simply could not have it.
So Melkor did what most villains do and threw a big cosmic revolution. Spoiler alert, didn't work. When Eru instructed the Ainur to create a new song, Melkor tried to disrupt it and battle his creator, but Eru just turned everything back around in accordance to his will.
In doing so, Eru created the universe, and allowed his Ainur to become part of this world. Many of the strongest Ainur did, Melkor included, and became known as the Valar, the highest angels of all.
But while the other Valar wished to follow Iluvatar's will, Melkor secretly had other plans. If he couldn't beat Eru face to face, he'd just mess up his creation. Talk about petty.
Melkor cast off all ties he had with the other Valar, assembled his own forces, and went to war with all of existence. He would be known no longer as Melkor, but instead be named the Dark Lord Morgoth, black foe of the world.
As the strongest being in all of Ea, Morgoth was kind of a monster. He was able to go toe-to-toe with all the other Valar largely on his own, and these are the guys who can casually create stars or light up the universe.
Put simply, the Valar are the ones who would create most of the things that Eru planned, such as the landscape, stars, nature, you get the idea. Basically, anything in the universe was made by a Valar, and they are always free to expend some of their energy to make such things at will.
And given Morgoth is the strongest of these beings, he can make literally anything. Well, almost anything. The Valar don't have the flame imperishable, so they can't just give souls and life to their works, but otherwise it's fair game.
And given that they're living spirits, Valar don't need a body to survive, being able to just shed them like clothes, or changing the forms of their spirits to their liking. And they are free to fight on as just their true spiritual forms.
They're also completely indestructible. This one lesser Aina, a Maiar spirit called Sauron, maybe you heard of him, once survived a direct attack from Eru that completely wiped his body across the coals in the destruction of the island kingdom Numenor, but his spirit still survived.
This has less to do with an Ainur's natural durability. Rather, Iluvatar's creation and the power of the secret flame is an immutable law of reality, indestructible against any force. Even if Ea itself were completely annihilated, Iluvatar's work would continue to exist even as an idea.
With all that power and a whole lot more, Morgoth was an absolute menace to the whole of Ea. So he took some nasty losses here and there, but he would always find a way to keep fighting.
Whatever the Valar created, Morgoth would destroy. No good, no simple speck of Eru's will would be something Morgoth was content to let exist. And whatever he got his hands on, he wasn't content to destroy, no. Morgoth would instead seek to corrupt.
Yeah, if Morgoth can't make life, what better way to stick it to Eru than to twist his children into forces of evil? This is how orcs are made. They were once elves, tortured into a ruined race. And the Balrogs? Yeah, Morgoth made them as well, from the various Maiar spirits that joined Morgoth's side.
And among Morgoth's forces would rise many threats that are powerful in their own rights, like Gothmog, greatest of the Balrogs.
Or Ungoliant, the Great Spider. From the dragons, yes, Morgoth created those, there would be Ancalagon the Black, a dragon who was large enough to dwarf the very mountains he battled above in the War of Wrath. Morgoth himself fought with his warhammer Grond, or his spear that could drain divine power.
But the greatest of all Morgoth's followers was one of the mightiest of all Maiar, and the spirit who would be his successor, the legendary Lord of the Rings himself, Sauron. Like Morgoth, Sauron's spirit was completely indestructible, and compared to Morgoth, Sauron's tactics were even better.
It's no wonder Morgoth's corruption was able to seep into the world of Ea, even killing all sorts of things that's the side effect of him showing up. But even crazier than that is the fact that this guy is so evil, he can corrupt godly power sources, or even the fates of others.
By merely channeling the pure evil that he is, Morgoth can manifest his hatred into a curse that will ensure the absolute and total doom of whoever he wants to suffer, such as Turin Turambar, son of a man who dared to defy Morgoth to his face, weaving his fate according to his will.
He can mess with your soul, send you to the void, or even the halls of Mandos, a realm of judgment that no one can escape, not even Morgoth himself. With powers like that, how on Middle-earth did this guy even lose?
Well, that's the thing. Morgoth's powers and evil were great, but so too was his pride. Morgoth never truly expected that the Valar would return to challenge him again, and as such, he was caught off guard when an elf by the name of Arundel selflessly sacrificed himself to recruit the Valar once more.
Morgoth and his army put up an incredible fight to the best of their abilities, but ultimately, Ancalagon was slain by Arundel aboard the blessed ship Vingalot. Morgoth's forces were scattered and he was captured.
Of course, battling with Vingalot is still impressive, as the Valar enchanted that ship to fly across the cosmos, trips it made on a consistent basis. Such a performance would require speeds far beyond that of light, and the Valar just made it happen.
And so, Morgoth was sealed into the void, the same endless plain he had once traversed to find the secret fire. Now, it was his eternal prison, and he would never escape from it. The end.
Well, that's the end for the time. But at the end of all things, Dagor Dagorath, Morgoth will return, breaking free from the void. Of course, escaping such a seal is incredible. To exit such a plane and cross it, his speeds may very well be incalculable. It's a bit hard to say, but it is a definite possibility.
But the fact of the matter is, Morgoth was never going to win. Sure, he pulled some wild tricks across his time, but he was trying to defeat Iluvatar, the literal god of all Middle-earth. Every last thing he did, it was all part of Iluvatar's knowledge and will to all circle back around in favor of good and Eru's glory.
And Iluvatar's forces would triumph over Morgoth, as the Valar Tulkas, Arundel, and Turin, the three who suffered and battled the most against Morgoth's evil in ancient times, would unite one final time and cast the fallen angel into oblivion once and for all. Eru's children will rejoice, and a new song will ring out as all things return to their proper beauty, to never be tainted by Morgoth or evil evermore. For such is the fate of even the darkest shadows. No matter how they may defile, the light will always shine brighter, and the righteous are certain to prevail when all the world lies in the balance. Okay, the fighters are ready, the numbers are crunched, and it's time to run this.
Let's get ready for a deathmatch!
Hear me, Black Foe. This universe is under my watch. Be gone before I wipe you from my boots.
Fool, little among men, you shall beg for death at my hands.
Good. I was hoping you'd make a fuss. Is this truly all the strength you can muster?
I am first and mightiest of all the Valar. You are nothing.
The audacity to lay hands on me. My turn.
Silence yourself.
Sloppy. Hardly sporting. I can respect that. I think we've had enough of you. I suppose if I want something done right, I can do it myself.
Be broken on my will. Feel your
out of my reality!
Impossible!
Not for me.
All that you are bends slowly and surely to my will.
What?
Upon all that you do, my thought shall weigh as a cloud of doom, and it shall bring you down into darkness and despair. Wherever you go, I shall ride. Whatsoever you do shall turn against you. You shall die without hope, cursing both life and death.
Enough! In blackest day, in brightest night, beware your fears made into light. Let those who try to stop what's right burn like my power. Sinestro Smite! No. No! Damn you all!
Now look to your past, and you'll see I was there. This fate you are cursed with, it is my will you bear. A new age dawns, and you will not be in it.
Well, in hindsight, I guess his whole thing was corrupting light, wasn't it?
Despite Sinestro's might, he just didn't have enough to put Morgoth down. But why was that? Well, let's take a look.
And to do that, let's compare their offense, defense, and abilities.
Credit where it's due though, Sinestro's might is certainly accurate. Even some of his tamer showings of power could match and exceed Morgoth's peak, and it's a similar thing with speed.
On a lower end, you can argue Vingelot's own space travel feats compared to Sinestro's, but the Lantern can obviously be argued as much faster for being able to tag people like the Flash. Being really generous, you could maybe argue Morgoth can match Sinestro's infinite speed by eventually being able to escape the void, but that's a best case scenario for the Valar, and his power would never hold a candle.
Regardless of how you slice it, Sinestro's overwhelming offense isn't something Morgoth is equipped to keep up with, and the Lantern takes the point here.
But that sort of offense doesn't quite stack up against Morgoth's sheer defense.
Sure, Sinestro would be able to blow Morgoth away pretty easily, but he lacks a way to truly destroy him. Without a way to deal with Morgoth's soul, the Valar would be able to reform as many times as he needs.
And remember, souls in Middle-earth aren't as easy to destroy as your typical spirits, thanks to the Flame Imperishable effectively meaning Sinestro would need to be shutting stuff down on a conceptual level, something he's not capable of doing.
This could of course pose an issue given a crucial weakness of Sinestro's. He's working on a time limit, and eventually that battery is going to run dry. Morgoth takes the edge in defenses, tying up the score.
So, let's look at their abilities to work out if Sinestro had a way to put Morgoth down before the Valar got the better of him.
The answer is... not really. Sure, Sinestro had a much more flexible power set than Morgoth, but a lot of it didn't help him much here, and nothing really countered Morgoth's insane survivability.
Morgoth, meanwhile, had ways to deal with Sinestro, even without having to wait for his battery to run out. Some would be countered, like the ring protecting Sinestro from any soul shenanigans, or his antimatter universe portals letting him escape the void, but his defense isn't foolproof.
Morgoth could, for instance, corrupt the Lantern battery itself to cut Sinestro off from his power source, or send him to the Halls of Mandos. While Sinestro could escape the void, typical dimensional travel isn't enough to punch out of the halls.
And, most damning, Morgoth's curse would allow him to dictate Sinestro's fate to his liking. dooming him to ultimately die. And with that, Morgoth's abilities proved superior, giving him all the tools he needed to vanquish Sinestro.
Sinestro had overwhelming power that could best almost anyone else we've covered on this show, but Morgoth's undying presence, fate-dictating curses, and ever-present corruption were enough to run the Lantern's battery dry.
Sinestro fought with Valar, but against Melkor, he was left as the Sinestro Corps.
This match's winner is Morgoth.
When the sky comes down over this ghost town, you'll be